On January 20th this year, there's new strong leadership in America. Donald Trump, the 47th President of the United States, was sworn in after winning the election with a significant majority. Not just the Electoral College, but also the popular vote. The inauguration ceremony was a moment of pride for many Americans. It highlighted the nation's faith in God, a cornerstone of America's foundation, and transformed into a moment of patriotic celebration, honoring the spirit of the nation. America showcased American values, telling the world how much they embrace their American identity. Citizens across the country set aside their political differences to unite in a celebration of what they proudly termed as peaceful transfer of power. The event includes attendees from both political parties, notably Kamala Harris, the Democratic contender who faced Donald Trump in the election and lost. Despite the bitter campaigning, it was all set aside, and both of them were there to honor the traditions of America. What truly astonishes me is that right after taking the oath of office, Donald Trump declared to the world, America's golden age begins right now. Now, in that very speech, he immediately began to fulfill the promises he made during his campaign. Instead of saying, I'm not a magician, so don't expect things overnight to change, he took decisive action by issuing executive action aligned with his campaign promises. He focused on closing the southern border, ordered the military to secure it, empowered his cabinet to swiftly reduce prices and combat inflation, pardoned individuals wrongfully convicted during the January 6th event, and emphasized the importance of safe borders by urging neighboring countries to take decisive action. He also withdrew from the World Health Organization, sending a strong message that America would prioritize its own interests and its citizens and not allow other nations to take advantage of America's wealth. And more importantly, America's policing of the world would end. That speech, delivered shortly after his inauguration, was monumental. It wasn't just notable for its tone, but for the sheer number of promises he kept within hours taking office, actually minutes. He returned to the White House, sat at the Resolute desk, and signed those promises into law. All the commitments he had made to his citizens prior. Now, expressions like, we're working hard on that, we're trying our best, ever escaped his lips. Nor did he utter any words hinting at failure to deliver any promises. Regardless of what your views on Donald Trump might be, whether you support him or oppose his policies, one undeniable fact remains: from day one, he fulfilled nearly all the commitments he made to his people. Of course, we can argue the success of those actions in the days to come. But my point is, instead of excuses, he took a seat at the desk and signed those promises into law. So what lesson can we draw as a nation from this? Our current NPP administration finds itself in a similar situation where the people of this country tired of unfulfilled election promises by previous governments for over 75 years, rallied behind the current government and the president with a significant backing. The people of Sri Lanka secured the presidency of the House, and not just a simple majority, but a supermajority in our nation's parliament for the national people's power. The newly elected President, Anukumara Dissanayake, has stated that he's not a magician, but sir, you are. You do hold the power to fulfill all the promises you made to the people with a remarkable ease and speed. Of course, some might say our way of governance is different. That's why the people delivered the presidency along with the House with a supermajority. You pledged on day one that you would tackle the cost of living, dismantle the rice mafia, lower energy cost, eliminate wasteful government spending, introduce a new governance approach, and revise the IMF plan to benefit the citizens of Sri Lanka. However, what we have witnessed so far is merely a continuation of the same old policies from the Wickremesinghe government. There hasn't been a single innovative idea put into action by your administration, And when we question about that, we get the same old excuses we used to get over and over again from many administrations prior. We are working on that. The announcements from the government may come in a fresh packaging, but once you unwrap it, we find it's just the same policies of the previous administrations. The president seems to be delivering speeches as if he's still in campaign mode, channeling candidate Anrukumar Dissanayake. It appears that the government's primary focus is once again targeting political opponents. In his latest address to supporters, the president threatened to evict a former president if he fails to pay rent for the accommodation provided to him by the Constitution. The ongoing vendetta against political opponents feels like a familiar routine, reminiscent of the relentless attacks we witnessed from 2015 to 2019. During that time, the government was so preoccupied with their campaign against their political opponents that they neglected to improve the lives of Sri Lankans. That distraction ultimately compromised our national security, resulting in a tragedy that claimed the lives of over 260 innocent Sri Lankans. The abysmal performance of the previous good governance administration unfortunately paved the way for yet another Rajapaksa, arguably, in hindsight, the least favorable choice for president to come to power. What the citizens of this nation truly seek is tangible action, not political vendettas, but genuine efforts to improve the daily lives of Sri Lankans. Today, the government says there's no rice shortages, but when you go to the shop, you find otherwise. Salt is low. Now there's talk of imported coconuts. Those are issues of everyday Sri Lankans. Of course, by all means, go after the wrongdoers of the country. If your political opponents have stolen billions in a corrupt manner, of course go after them, because that was one of your campaign promises. But find the data and file a court case instead of these big announcements and the drama which we have all seen many times. How can you pursue the rent from a former president for a resident which is constitutionally guaranteed, while simultaneously proposing a government spending budget that exceeds last year's figures? Weren't you the one who promised immediate spending cuts and vowed to lead by example? So far, the only example we witness is the continuation of the policies from the Wickremesinghe government, with no real initiatives to enhance the lives of the people. The election is behind us. You have emerged victorious, Mr. President. Madam Prime Minister, the authority is in your hands. It's time to stop making excuses and start delivering real improvements for the people of Sri Lanka. Indeed, Madam Prime Minister, you were the one who promised from the very beginning to introduce a fresh approach to governance. The public is eagerly anticipating that promise to become a reality. They are looking for more than just words. They want concrete action that will genuinely improve their lives. Consider the remarks made by the new President of the United States when he spoke to his supporters following the inauguration.
But you'll be happy because, you know, it's action, not words that count. And you're going to see a lot of action.
It's time to move beyond words and start taking real action. Action that will alleviate the suffering and improve the lives of 22 million Sri Lankans, just as you pledged. No more excuses. We can't afford to have another government filled with promises that go unfulfilled. You hold the power in your hands, so let's see you use it to enhance the lives of our fellow citizens while simultaneously bringing the real wrongdoers to justice. We'll be right back.